Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Turmedi Bahtiar. Today I would like to explain about language disorder in human brain, namely aphasia. Okay, language is the most complex of behaviors shown by humans because language involves memory, learning, message reception skills, process, and expression. In everyday life, individuals always interact with other people. These interactions use our ability in language. Talking to other people, getting the right words to express something, understanding what other people say, and reading, writing, and doing sign are also part of the use of language. When one or more of the language use are no longer functioning properly due to a brain injury, the condition is called aphasia. Aphasia means that a person can no longer express what they want, they could no longer use the language. According to Wood, aphasia is partial or complete loss of ability to speak or to comprehend the spoken word due to injury, disease, or maldevelopment of brain. Aphasia differs from one person to another. The severity and extent of aphasia depends on the location and severity of the brain injury, language skills prior to aphasia, and the person's personality. Some people with aphasia can understand language well but have difficulty finding the right word or constructing sentence. Other sufferers or patients can talk at length, but what is said is difficult or cannot be understood by the other person. Patients like this often have big problems understanding language. Someone who has condition like this will experience frustration. The frustration stems from not being able to clearly express what they mean or not fully understanding what the other person is saying. If we make an analogy with the case when we come to a foreign language, I mean foreign country or foreign state, our mastery of the language is not good. The possibility of our communication with the community becomes limited. If it is associated with everyday life, this state of frustration will greatly affect to a person's psychological condition. People with aphasia are basically already difficult to communicate with others. If coupled with frustration, this will make patient become psychologically unhealthy. The patient will be stressed and may experience a crisis of confidence because they or others around him cannot accept the patient condition. Therefore, it is important for the environment to be able to accept the condition of people with aphasia and treat them as well as possible in order to maintain their self-confidence as a fortress that keeps the psychological condition of the patient healthy. Broadly speaking, aphasia is divided into 5. The first is Wernicke's aphasia. Wernicke's aphasia or sensory aphasia is the inability to understand a word or pronounce it into a complete a complete speech. Okay. According to Luria said that this aphasia has 3 characteristics or traits. First, to hear and make a sound. One of them must be a voice or sound. For example, in Japanese. In Japanese, the sounds of the letters L and R are no different. Japanese people who hear English cannot distinguish the sound of the 2 letters because there is no imprint of the letters in their brains. although the difference between the two letters is very clear to the person who speaks English but not Japanese. For example, this is a problem in the language of people with Wernicke's aphasia, the inability to distinguish significant phoneme characteristics and classify sounds into noun phoneme system. The second characteristic is that there is a breakdown in speech. The afflicted loud, but he or she is confused about the phonetic characteristic, which are often referred to as word salad. The third characteristic is writing impairment. A person who cannot digest phonetic characteristics cannot be expected to be able to write because they do not know the form of letters that can be arranged into a word. This aphasia happen in Wernicke's area. Okay, the second is transcortical aphasia. Transcortical aphasia is often referred to as isolation syndrome. Individuals can repeat and understand words and object name but cannot speak spontaneously, or they cannot understand words even though they can repeat it. This aphasia is thought to be caused by the loss of area outer of cortex of traditional language. And the third is conduction aphasia. The conduction aphasia is a paradoxical deficit in which people with this disorder can talk easily, know object names and understand talk, but they cannot repeat the words. Explanation of the problem is that there is a bad relationship between perceptual word image in the parietal temporal cortex and the motor system that produce words. The fourth is anomic aphasia. Individuals with anomic aphasia or amnesic aphasia are able to understand sentence, produce sentence and repeat sentence, but they cannot to name a noun. For example, when an image is displayed in the form of sheep and chair, the patient suffering from this disorder cannot name the image. This patient replied, "I know what it is. That is what it is usually used for tie the sheep." He can explain, but it is hard to say nouns. This damage occurs in the temporal cortex. Nouns and verbs are so different. The ability to pronounce nouns is in the part of the brain in recognition and classification, while verbs are in the part of the brain associated with movement. The last aphasia is Broca's aphasia. Individuals with Broca's aphasia have difficulty speaking even though he or she can understand a sentence. Broca's aphasia is also known as motor, expressive, or non-influence aphasia. This is make patients speak very slowly with a very simple word structure. Nouns can be mentioned only when they said just one word. Conjunction, adjective, and more are rare ones used. This aphasia happens because damage to the front of part of the left hemisphere. Okay, let's talk about left and right hemisphere contribution to language. The main function of the left hemisphere in language function are syntactic elements within the language itself. This function includes several factors, namely production, timing, and sequence of movements needed to speak and understand grammar. And the right hemisphere plays a major role in language comprehension, especially with regard to language auditory elements. The main source proving this is the impact on language function as a result of injury to the right hemisphere. When damage occurs to right hemisphere, will develop subtle disturbance disturbances to the ability linguistics. This includes change in vocabulary selection, giving response to a complex statement with unusual syntax and decrease fluency in speech. There is also a decrease in understanding tone of voice and the production of the same emotional tone, or we can call it prosody. That's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.